Well, here we are in part two, and the camera decided to take a break. So we were talking about how we were really preparing ourselves, or how the Lord was preparing us to get to the place of having the transplant, and how God worked in your life, how He's working in mine to bring us to that point. It all came down to that point at which you were okay with me going through with that, and I was okay with it, and so thus began the process. So we called down to Mayo Clinic and get the testing ready to go. And I remember going for the testing. You know how much I like needles, and so that was. It's never been a joy yet, but something that we work through to do what we need to do. And it's been kind of a ride, because there's been, in the midst of it all, a lot of things that you and I have had to deal with. And it's interesting that we deal with them kind of in the same way. Sometimes just the emotional things that come out. And I recall when I finally had taken the test, and I got a call from the gal just telling me that I was a match. I mean, it was just a pretty simple thing. I was a match. And there's a lot of people that can be a match, but when she called and she told me that I was a match, for some reason it was like everything inside me just stopped working. It was kind of like it was like the Lord's first signal that this was all coming to pass. And I remember I was at work when she called, and she told me that, and I couldn't even respond to her. I tried to get the words out, but nothing was coming. Tears were coming, but I said, I did say, I have to put the phone down a minute. So I put my phone down, trying to gain my composure, get back on the phone for her to say a few things. And then, and through choked up conversation, I look back on it as kind of funny, and yet it's still with me. But so we set up a day, and there was a couple of weeks where the testing would come to pass. And I remember telling you, that I was a match, and I don't think that affected you a whole lot, other than just that, okay, it's a match. But I don't think I've asked you about that either.
I was in the hospital when you told me. I was laying in the bed, and I was talking with Tori.
Okay.
And when you told me,
was that the first time or the second time? I think that was the second time. Because the first time I just said, yeah, I'm going down for testing.
and you had called me and told me the coordinator and said you were a match.
Okay.
I don't know. I was laying in the bed, and I started crying. I handed the phone to Tori because I couldn't answer you. I didn't know. My mouth wouldn't move. It was weird. Yeah, like you said, it's like everything in your body shut down, and everything just started to push tears out instead of do what it's supposed to do.
Kind of like we knew it was coming.
Yeah, it was almost like I was holding my breath, and then as soon as I heard it, everything just came out. Yeah, it was different.
So the next couple of weeks were, for me, were very full of anticipation. Had a lot of work at anticipating the fact that I would be a good donor. now that the match was taken care of, I had to go through the testing. And so I pushed myself in light of the work and just worked a lot of long hours, and just everything started changing for me, waking up early, just all kinds of things. I didn't mind it, actually felt pretty good. But just waiting for that testing time to come, the testing time came, and I wasn't really looking forward to the testing. I was looking forward to the last day, and I had more poking and prodding and things I were uncomfortable and things I didn't like, and things I don't really want to talk to anybody about, but they went through a lot to come to a place to make me know that my body was in a place that it could be a donor. And I appreciate the fact that they did that. And so it came down to that last day, and through all the testing and everything, nobody was really saying anything to me. But then that last day, I sat down with the nephrologist, and he just kind of nonchalantly said, we're going to have our doctor's meeting tomorrow, and your name will be brought up, and we'll discuss whether we want you to be a donor or not. But he said it'll be a short meeting because there's no reason why you shouldn't be a donor. And my first thoughts were, cool, this is all right. And he was very nonchalant about it, very kind and gracious, and so I thanked him, and I went on my way, and that was the end of my day. I'm walking through the halls of Mayo Clinic, and I'm thinking about this, and as I'm thinking about it, it comes down on me like a ton of bricks. And I really didn't know what I was experiencing. I've never been anyone to experience a whole lot of emotion to that degree at all, but I went, and I couldn't talk because I was choked up again. And I sat by one of the railings, and I talked with the Lord, and I just told the Lord, I said, I need to see someone right now. And I was ready to grab somebody off the trail, like, come here, and just, but I didn't know what to do, and so I made my way back up to the floor where the nurse coordinator was, and I spit out enough words to the attendant that I needed to see her, and so she came out a few moments later, and as soon as I saw her, just the whole floodgate just opened, and she looked at me, and she got the most worried look on her face that I've ever seen anyone have. And she just immediately grabbed me, she pulled me into the room, and she said, "What's wrong?" And still couldn't get anything out. And I told her, finally, I put my thumb in the air, and I said, "Everything's good, and we're ready to go." And she interpreted it through all my broken words and everything. And she was there long enough there for me that I was able to calm down and able to get on the move. But But that's kind of been the whole journey, is there's been a lot of people there for us. And we were discussing just the other day, just the enormous amount of people that we see that have been there to encourage us and help us and get us through this whole process. And and the funny thing is that both you and I were like saying, we don't need the help. At least that's how I am.
Yeah.
But it's like they're not even asking, they're just doing. And it's a really great blessing that way. So I don't know how long it was till I actually called you. I can't remember if I called you or if I texted you. I can't remember what I did now.
Call me.
I did call you. I can't remember the conversation as we're talking right now, because I just remember I had to call you, but I know that I had to wait so that I could say it without breaking down. So what happened? Tell me what happened. I did call you, you said, so.
Well, you basically just spit it out right away. It wasn't a long conversation. You said, hey, I just got done talking with the coordinator, and they pretty much said it's not going to be a long conversation, so I should be good. And I said, cool.
Yeah.
And it's not because I didn't think it wasn't real. It's just because I wasn't done, so it wasn't real.
Right.
It was happy, but there was a part of me that was holding back. And then when I met with my coordinator after all my testing, and she basically told me the same thing yours did about my testing, that it was just a formality of the meeting. And she scheduled the date for the transplant, and in like 5 minutes everything was done, and she shook my hand and said congratulations, and then I walked out. And honestly, it didn't hit me till I was walking out of the room that this is going to happen. And I walked out, and there was Tori and Mom standing out there, so I wasn't going to get all choked up in front of them. Mostly because I don't know, I didn't want to cause a scene, I guess, because I know that they would start crying, and then who knows, everybody else there would have started crying, who knows, and then still, I think it really just, there's a part of me that's just holding on until it happens. Because I know God is in control, and this could be the best thing, or it could be the worst thing. It could work and it couldn't work, and I believe that God has planned it so that it's going to work. But I just don't feel. I should celebrate until it's happened.
Well, we celebrate in a lot of other things. In fact, after you found out the date and the news, we were all pretty excited about that. And then it kind of got shut down for a while.
Yeah.
A lot of things had to happen that we weren't aware of, and we were kind of getting at that place in which we were getting a little anxious, and I think maybe just a tad upset. And then we kind of regained our composure, and the Lord kind of straightened us back out.
And I think that's why I'm waiting for it to happen before I celebrate, because before I got so excited because it was happening and it felt like we were rushing everything. And then they canceled it and I got upset because I was expecting something to happen that I don't know for sure is going to happen. And it is going to happen. It's tomorrow. It's in 12 hours, but it's not over yet. And I feel like, and also because of that, it just shows how much God is in control. He's he's in control of whatever happens. And there's so many different little things that have happened throughout this entire just 2 weeks that it's so good, and then all of a sudden something bad gets sprinkled into it. It's a constant reminder that God is in control of whatever happens. So that's why I think that God thinks that we should, that I should at least wait until it happens, so that I don't think that I'm in control versus he's in control.
And it's a real blessing to wait on the Lord, because his time is better than our time. And we both know, we've acknowledged that we weren't ready 2 weeks ago. The Lord had to do a little bit more work on us, and it's been a tremendous growing experience just in my personal life, I think in yours as well. Just to learn some things and understand some things and get to a place, where we understand who we are, what we're going through, what God wants us to gain out of it all. And there's a lot of things that people have to deal with in going through a situation like this. I've never had a surgery. I've never really had any problems at all. You've gotten all of it. But at the same time, there's other things going on. I mean, there's a lot of thoughts, a lot of concerns that come up. It's like, well, what if I give my kidney and it doesn't work? Now what do I think? And I think those are things that we all deal with. But I've really come to a place at which, once I give you my kidney, it's yours. And if your kidney doesn't work, well, then your kidney doesn't work. It's not mine anymore. And that's what gifts are. They're unreturnable. And not only so, but just the thoughts of the surgery, the pain, the different things that go on, the taking the time off. Is God going to meet needs? Is where's money coming from? All kinds of things. But the Lord has been good to see fit that all those things are either met or they're just, my mind is at peace knowing that everything's just going to be okay. And so 2 weeks later, here we are again on the eve of a transplant. There's a lot of anticipation. I know a lot of people get a lot of good night rest during things like this. Maybe we will.
I probably won't.
Yeah, maybe not. I kind of think that I would, but I don't know who's going to be around us and all that. But even if I didn't, it really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. I know the Lord is here. He's going to take care of all this, and I'm going to get some R&R in the next couple weeks, and going to look forward to seeing you get back on your feet and be able to.
Yeah, it's interesting because God saved me and He gave me life, and now He's giving me a life again in a different sense. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty crazy. And I don't think I'll sleep because I'll be too excited to start a life, not because I'll be scared of what's going to happen. I'll be excited that God has given me this opportunity and it's just around the corner.
Well, tomorrow, next week, we'll have a whole new story to tell. But part of the reason that we wanted to talk about these things right now is because it hasn't happened. And you know what? If for some reason it doesn't happen, we know that God is still in control. And that's something that it's a very viable thing. I mean, we are creatures of habit. We do fear. And we think about being sick. We think about a car accident. We think about, maybe you've thought about what's going to happen if Dad just changes his mind and says no, because they tell me I can do that all the way up until the time I get put under. And I don't know if you think about that or not, but, you know, it's, there's a lot of things that could happen.